Ever noticed how the moment you say I'm single, people look at you like you just confessed to a crime? Their face changes. Their tone changes. Suddenly it's, why? Since when? Are you okay? Like being single is some kind of emergency situation. As if happiness only comes with a relationship status and anything else is just waiting room energy. But what if I told you, some of the strongest, most self-aware, and emotionally intelligent people you'll ever meet are single? Not because they can't find someone. Not because they're broken. But because they understand themselves too well to settle for the wrong connection. Let's talk about the real psychology of people who stay single. First, let's clear the biggest lie. Single does not mean lonely. Lonely is feeling unseen even when someone is sitting right next to you. Single is just a relationship status. Loneliness is an emotional state. And many single people are actually more at peace than people stuck in the wrong relationships. People who stay single for long periods usually have one powerful trait: they're comfortable with themselves. Silence doesn't scare them. Empty weekends don't panic them. They don't need constant noise, constant texting, constant validation just to feel alive. They can sit in a room alone and not feel empty. They can walk alone and not feel lost. They've learned to enjoy their own company. And that is rare. Most people rush into relationships not because they found the right person, but because they're trying to escape themselves. They don't want to face their thoughts. They don't want to sit with their emotions. So they look for distraction in another human being. Single people who choose to stay single don't do that. They face themselves. And that takes emotional courage. Another key thing, they are selective, not desperate. Desperate people fall in love with potential. Selective people fall in love with reality. They don't get excited just because someone shows interest. Attention doesn't impress them. Compliments don't hypnotize them. They look deeper. They observe behavior. They watch consistency. They ask themselves, does this person bring peace into my life, or chaos? Do I feel safe being myself around them, or am I constantly performing? They would rather wait months or even years than force a connection that feels empty. And in a world that rushes everything, waiting is a sign of emotional maturity. Single people often understand something most people learn too late: being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel small, confused, anxious, or unappreciated. They've seen how relationships can drain energy instead of giving it. They've watched people lose themselves trying to keep someone else. And they promise themselves they won't repeat that story. Many of them have been through emotional pain. Breakups that changed them. Betrayals that shattered their trust. Situations where they gave their all and received half in return. But instead of becoming bitter, they became aware. They didn't harden their hearts, they protected them. They stopped loving blindly and started loving wisely. They learned that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Not everyone who says I care actually does. Not everyone who stays is loyal. So they don't rush. They let people reveal themselves over time. They believe patterns more than promises. And because of that, they don't open their heart easily. Not because they're cold, but because they love deeply. When they love with their whole soul. And they know the cost of giving that to the wrong person. Another powerful trait, they value peace more than romance. They know what it feels like to sleep peacefully. To wake up without anxiety. To not check their phone with fear. To not overthink every message. To not walk on eggshells. They know the calm of emotional stability. And they are not willing to trade that for temporary excitement. A lot of people confuse drama with passion. Single people who stay single usually don't. They've learned that chaos is not chemistry. Anxiety is not attraction. Inconsistency is not mystery. It's just instability. So they wait for a connection that feels calm, not confusing. Safe, not stressful. Warm, not hot and cold. They also understand their independence. They know how to take care of themselves emotionally. They don't need someone to fix them. They don't expect a relationship to save them from their problems. They are building their own life, their own goals, their own routines. A partner, to them, is not a solution. A partner is a companion. They want someone to walk beside them, not carry them. That's why many single people are focused on growth. They're studying, working, building, healing, improving. They're investing in their future. They're not wasting energy chasing attention that disappears tomorrow. They're planting seeds instead of chasing butterflies. And yes, sometimes they do feel lonely. They're human. They crave connection like everyone else. But they don't let loneliness push them into the wrong arms. They sit with it. They understand it. They let it pass. Because they know a moment of loneliness is better than a lifetime of emotional regret. One of the most misunderstood things about single people is this: they are not afraid of commitment. They are afraid of wrong commitment. They are afraid of giving their heart to someone who won't protect it. They are afraid of building dreams with someone who will walk away. They are afraid of trusting someone who will break that trust. So they take their time. They observe. They choose carefully. And when they finally choose, they choose deeply. Single people also have strong self-awareness. They know their flaws. They know their triggers. They know their emotional patterns. They are working on themselves instead of expecting someone else to do that work for them. They know they're not perfect. But they are trying to be better. And they want someone who is also trying, not someone who is running from themselves. There's also a quiet confidence in people who are comfortable being single. They don't need to prove anything. They don't rush to show the world they're wanted. They don't measure their worth by relationship status. They know their value even when no one is choosing them romantically at the moment. They understand that being chosen by yourself is the first step to being chosen by the right person. They enjoy simple freedoms. Eating what they want. Sleeping when they want. Planning their life without constant negotiation. Traveling without compromise. Growing at their own pace. Exploring who they are without pressure. To them, being single is not a waiting room. It's a chapter. A chapter of self-discovery, healing, and building. They also have high emotional standards. Not unrealistic fantasies, but real standards. Respect. Honesty. Effort. Emotional availability. Loyalty. Communication. Peace. They don't ask for perfection. They ask for consistency. They don't want fairy tales. They want safety. And until they find that, they are okay standing alone. Another deep truth: many single people have big hearts. They feel deeply. They care deeply. They attach deeply. And because of that, they protect their heart deeply too. They don't give pieces of themselves to everyone who shows interest. They wait for someone who can hold their heart with care. They know once they love, they won't love halfway. So they don't start lightly. They are not closed. They are cautious. They are not cold. They are careful. They are not heartless. They are heart protective. And that comes from experience. So if you're single and sometimes you feel like you're behind, remember this: life is not a race. There is no deadline for love. There is no universal timeline. Some people meet the right person at 18. Some at 30. Some at 50. Some never, and still live full, meaningful lives. Your value does not decrease because you are not in a relationship. Your worth is not on pause. Your story is not incomplete. Sometimes, staying single means you respect yourself too much to accept less than you deserve. Sometimes, it means you are healing. Sometimes, it means you are building. Sometimes, it means you are waiting. And sometimes, it simply means you are at peace. And peace is not something you should ever rush to give up. So if you're single by choice or by circumstance, understand this: there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are not late. You are someone who knows their heart. You are someone who values depth over noise. You are someone who chooses quality over quantity. You are someone who would rather walk alone than walk with the wrong person. And that psychology, that mindset, that strength, is something most people only develop after making many mistakes. You already learned it early.